at the Red Pill Expo in Rapid City, South Dakota. I am joined by Michelle Melendez. She is going to be one of the speakers here at the Red Pill Expo. Michelle, thank you very much for joining me.
Mahalo. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So I was speaking to you a little bit, and you were talking about basically your presentation is the Maui land grab.
This is my new book.
Right there.
Oh, there you are. Okay, hi everybody. This is my new book. It's called Great Maui Land Grab, What Caused the Maui Fire and Is Your Home Next? And it goes over about 9 different weather anomalies, questionable weather events, 23 fire anomalies. It goes through Weather Modification Act of 1976, the Direct Energy Weapon Acquisition by Congress in 2016. It'll blow people's minds. It's a Great Maui Land Grab, and you can get it at greatmauifire.com. So go to greatmauifire.com and you'll learn more about it.
You know, and I've thought it was interesting when all that was happening last year, and so many people lost their homes, and it was just horrific what went on there. Joe Biden did nothing, as he's done his whole life. When something happens, he just does nothing. I mean, he's a worthless human being from where I stand, but that's my personal opinion.
And you get to have that. And also, but what he did say was after a congressional meeting, somebody approached him, and he's on record, on video, saying that those people who had the right roof, they didn't burn. He literally says those people who, can't you believe the fire, but those people who had the right roof, their houses didn't burn. So what is the right roof? And also, how does a fire know that somebody has a right roof? A regular wildfire doesn't make sense.
No, the right roof. Interesting. I never heard that, but thank you for telling me about that for sure.
You can actually find it. It's quoted in the book. If you go, again, greatmauifire.com, it's quoted in the book, and it sends you to the exact video that shows you him saying that.
Yes. And I was telling you, I'm thinking back to when I've talked to people from Oregon, and I lived in the state of Oregon for time as a child. And when I lived in Oregon, there weren't very many wildfires going on. But at that time is when they had to start the environmental acts of saving the spotted owl. We got to save all the trees, even though the forest is so vast and there's still endless trees, always has been. But they have not been. Now the forests aren't being managed. The dead and dying trees that need to be hauled out of there are the biggest fire hazard there, and there's wildfires every year in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm from Idaho, and we get wildfires all the time. Because they, I think. Basically, the radical left was just using the environmentalists and weaponizing a group of radical people, as they always do, to do their dirty work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really interesting about these fires is that the trees did not burn. They actually, what happened is, people don't understand, is that there would be melted cars, burned cars with melted glass, melted rims, but the trees standing right next to them would not be burned except for the inside. And what happened is that the chemistry of this fire didn't recognize the organic material. So that's why the water would burn on the inside of the trees, but the organic bark from outside and the roots and the leaves and the branches would not burn. So in the book, it actually shows not just the trees, but also a charred dog. And I talked to a firefighter, and I said, is it normal for a dog to be charred like this when you can still see his ears, his paws, you can even make out his fur, and he's stiff. It's like he was running, and then he just killed over. And the firefighter said, no, an animal will hide under something to protect itself, and it will go into like a fetal position. Also in the book, you'll see a picture of a toad that's in mid-jump. It literally has its legs out because it's just about to jump. It's hollowed from the inside, but its skin, you can still feel and touch the skin, it's just charred. And again, the reason is because a microwave frequency, which it has a patent. There's a patent for an apparatus that is a microwave wave guided laser, and it that frequency doesn't know the organic material. And this is also why, I don't know if you've heard, blue things didn't burn. If you know, there's blue things that didn't burn. Like somebody pulled a paper ticket out of the white ash in Lahaina, a full-on paper ticket, not one scorch on it. They pulled out blue T-shirts, 6 blue T-shirts in the ash, in the white ash. They pulled it out, no holes, no burn marks. The blue Tommy Bahama umbrellas, not a scorch on them, right next to a demolished house. And the reason is because when you have a blue laser that comes from a sapphire crystal, quartz crystal, that blue frequency matches the frequency of the color blue. It matches the wavelength of the color blue. So it actually reflects the laser, and it doesn't burn. And everything else will absorb it and will burn up, except for organic material.
You know, I say there's a lot that I do know and a lot more that I don't know.
It's a lot. This was a lot. This was 4 months of nonstop, up till midnight, up at 3 a.m. And it was divinely guided. I just knew, I was like, I have to do this chapter, now this one. And I knew if this book doesn't get out soon, people are going to forget about Maui, and we don't want Maui forgotten. This book is called Great Maui Land Grab, What Caused the Maui Fire, and Is Your Home Next? And you can get it at greatmaui.fire.com. I'm sorry, this book is called Great Maui Land Grab, and you can get it at greatmaui.fire.com. And it's important that people don't forget Maui, because what happened there could happen anywhere, has happened in Paradise, in Tubbs, and in Texas, and Canada, and in many other areas. And people need to understand, why don't trees burn in a fire? It's because it's not a regular wildfire. They were even said that the Hurricane Dora was responsible for this fire. Hurricane Dora was 500 to 600 miles away. Wind can only go past a hurricane about 50 miles. So this was from an engineer who studied the weather on the islands of Hawaii for 15 years. Also, a chief meteorologist on CRA Channel 3 News. His name is Mark Finan. On the day of the fire, they showed him. He actually talked about how he doesn't believe that Hurricane Dora was responsible, because the wind was coming down from the northeast, and the hurricane was 500 or 600 miles going northeast. So it was going away from the island. So there's no way that the hurricane could have caused all of those 3 to 80 mile an hour winds. And not only that, the wind went in all 4 directions. It actually jumped over a construction zone with 2x4s completely exposed, a completely exposed half-built foundation, wooden, not a scorch on these 2x4s, nothing, but it melted all the cars in the next parking lot. So it's, again, this is called the Great Maui Land Grab, and you can get it and learn more about it at greatmaui.fire.com.
It's just amazing, because honestly, I don't ever recall in my lifetime that I somewhat remember a fire of that magnitude. I mean, yeah, there are forest fires in my lifetime, lots of them, lots of wildfires, but fires actually burned down a civilization. You know, I mean,
Yep.
I mean, the last time I recall hearing about one was the Great Fire of London back in, what was that, the 1500s?
Yeah, it was somewhere in there. There's many fires like that are happening now with, again, the houses are turned to white ash. A regular wildfire will be black. You'll have black soot. You'll have black soot on the walls, on the chimneys. The chimneys are gone. They're white ash. The fridge is gone. The toilets are gone. In a regular wildfire, that will not happen. A regular wildfire burns about 14 to 1500 degrees, and to melt glass, which the glass is melted in the cars, that's over 2,000 degrees to melt glass like that.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, a nuclear blast wouldn't even do that.
Yeah, I don't know about nuclear blasts, but yeah, it's definitely this whole thing is questionable. And then the other thing that's a huge question is what's going on in the legislative body now. So the first words out of the Hawaii governor's mouth to help the people that just had their entire land destroyed, their ohana, their family killed from this wildfire, the Hawaii governor's first words is I'm looking for ways for the state to acquire the land for workforce housing. That's the first thing out of his mouth, not, oh, I'm making sure that all the survivors have food and water and shelter. We're looking for anybody else that possibly survived. No. He doesn't say that. He says, I'm looking for ways for the state to acquire these people's land that just lost everything for workforce housing. And that says a lot right there. And then there was a bill that was SB 3381, and this is if you love freedom, this is going to fire you up a little bit, because what this bill was going to do was going to take over the entire west coast of Maui to rebuild Lahaina. They were going to take over the entire west coast of Maui. They were going to this west coast of Maui was going to be out of the Maui governance, because a board of 9 people was going to then take over governing the entire west coast of Maui. They were going to collaborate with stakeholders. And what people need to understand right now is there's a stakeholder theory, which means that the corporations that basically are in different areas around the United States, their job, according to stakeholder theory, is to move the land in a direction that stakeholder wants. And what people probably don't know, is that from 2011 to 2016, Hawaii and U.S., Hawaii, and Japan stakeholders decided that Maui was going to be the first smart city. This was in 2011 and 2016. These are unelected officials, unelected people that decided we're going to make Maui the first smart city. And so what's happening now is they're trying to do a complete land grab. That bill that I just told you about did die, thank God. And also they are they have only given one permit for a land person, for somebody who's lost their home, to rebuild. They've only given one out of 10 months of this fire. They've allowed one homeowner to have a building permit so they can start building on their land. And the reason is because they're trying to find different ways that they can kick people off of their land. And that's just not okay. So again, the book.
Well, let me ask you something here. Now, we hear about that now. They're not trying to do anything like trying to fire up Native Hawaiians, saying, "Oh, these people stole your land, come and get it back," or whatever. Like the way they're doing land grabs in South Africa, and the way they're maliciously, horrendously murdering the farmers in South Africa, some of the worst crimes anyone can hear about. And they're doing this thing called land expropriation without compensation, which they're feeding people this get your land back from these colonizers that have taken it, but they're just basically using them as foot soldiers to do their dirty work. So basically, they get the land grab, and then these guys that did all this for them are going to get nothing in return.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the one thing that people need to understand in the intro, you're going to learn about Hawaii and how it's never been really fully annexed to the United States. And a lot of people don't understand that. The Native Hawaiians know this. So you're going to learn about that directly from a Native Hawaiian. And but yes, and they also have a Hawaii, the state actually has Hawaiian locals, Native Hawaiians are on a list to get Hawaiian land back. But this list goes on for years. And when the people die who are on this list, it does not transfer to their family. It dies with them. If they don't have the house and the land, by the time they die, that them being on the list actually is null and void. So what I love that that's in the book, because it actually starts to people to understand that the land grab did not start with the Maui fire. It started back in 1893 when they imprisoned the Hawaii Queen Liliuokalani, and they forced her abdication of Hawaii to be annexed. But the annexation was never fully completed. And if you want to learn more about that, again, the book is Great Maui Land Grab, and you can go to greatmaui.fire.com and learn more about that.
Well, it all boils down to one thing, and that is to get us as a controlled society under a communist regime.
Absolutely,
And
100%.
And that we don't need.
No, and that's what I tell people. There's a prayer at the end of each chapter, because right now this is not just stepping forward and taking action as much as we can. It's also getting into a relationship with your higher power, because these people they're not human, in my opinion. I think they're demons. There's no way a human being with a heart can do what they did, especially to the keiki, which are the children.
Yes.
There was 3,000 children that were out of school, which means they were home either with their grandparents or by themselves. And to have children to be in a fire with no warning system. We have the best warning system in the world that is tested every first Sunday of the month at noon. And this warning system was not turned on, and that was by Herman Ananda, who was the Maui emergency management leader. And what he said, the reason for not turning on the sirens, is he said he was worried people would run into the fire. This warning system, it literally states on their website, is for any natural disaster, including wildfires, tsunamis, whatever. But he decided not to turn it on. And what people need to know about Herman Ananda is that he beat out 40 different applicants when he got hired in, I believe it was 2019, I think it was. And he beat out 40 different applicants, and he has 0 emergency management experience. 0. So his last job prior to becoming the main head leader of the Maui Emergency Management Center was to be he was the assistant to one of the prior mayors. That's all he did, and he beat out 40 different applicants of people who know about emergency management. So there's a lot of different questions, including the police chief. I don't know if you're familiar with him. The police chief, John Pelletier on Maui. He was the same police chief for the Mandalay Bay in Vegas shooting, the worst shooting in history, which left a lot of questions, including the question that it was one gunman. And then now he is the police chief for the worst fire in U.S. history, leaving many, many questions. And the book is going to tell you how he got hired. How did a guy who was not a local, when you had to have 1 year residency to be a police chief, how does he get hired? You're going to learn about that in the book, and you're also going to learn about who is this guy and the very questionable actions he's taken numerous times.
Well, it's all so questionable. Go to Michigan, the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping hoax. And one of the agents in charge of the investigation is a known pedophile.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
I wish I was joking,
No.
but I'm not. This is real, folks. This is real.
And the thing is, too, is people, it's brave of you to watch something like this and to keep and share it with your community, because we have to have people standing up and waking up and choosing to see the truth. Because if you think it's not coming for you, you're gonna have a big awakening. When not only maybe it's not your house, maybe it's the fact that you can't go outside your zone because your card won't work anymore because of the 15-minute cities. There's a 15-minute city right now in Saudi Arabia. It's called The Line, and they don't let people out. They say, they're keeping people safe for their protection and their well-being in this 15-minute city. They want to keep nature, preserve it for nature. They don't want people going outside of it. The picture is going to be in the presentation I'm doing tomorrow. but they want to make it 21 square miles, and they want to put 9 million people inside of this high-rise, the line, which looks like a line in nature, and if that is coming if we don't stand up for what is true and what is right, and under the infinite creator of whatever you want to call God, because that's our power. That's what we need to have right now.
Well, Michelle, what you're doing takes a lot of guts.
Thank you.
You know, what a lot of us are doing, I mean, some people are too afraid to do or just sit here and talk about it. Actually, it's quite easy for me. Then again, they're saying I'm not fearing the consequences. Well, I'm really not. You know, I mean, I'm willing to die for our future generations to make sure that they have the same liberties that I had growing up.
And that's the truth where it's at, because to be afraid of something, I mean, they incinerated children. That's what boils my blood. They had children home alone with no warning system on. There was a child, and they only say the official number, the official count is only 3 children died, which is impossible. And they had there was a mom who found her child charred, completely charred, holding their dog. And the mom said, God kept him that way so I would recognize him, because she could recognize the body as her child because it was completely charred. The thing is again, the organic material, the fire doesn't recognize, the chemistry of the fire doesn't recognize organic material, but it does burn water. So it burns from the inside out. And that is how children died. And that is not okay with me. And I don't care of any consequences that could happen of writing this book, because when children die in a way that is so horrific and so terrifying, that is when people better speak up, because if you don't think could happen to your child, you are quite mistaken. Yeah. And get the book, you guys, Great Maui Land Grab. Go to greatmauifire.com. You're going to learn not only about what happened to Maui, but the complete chronological history of the banking, how the banking elite family has taken over the government. It corporatized it after the Civil War in 1864. And then you're also going to learn about the United Nations. Why was the Hawaii governor at the United Nations speaking? Why was a governor speaking to the world leaders? The reason is because of his narrative of climate change. The one thing he kept saying about was climate change. Over 1,900 scientists, credited scientists, credentialed scientists have signed a declaration saying there's no climate danger. So much evidence. The documentary, An Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore, a teacher actually sued the movie, because they were actually trying to make it mandatory for children to watch, and he knew it wasn't true. So he sued them, and a British judge, it went through because there were 9 errors. There were 9 errors in An Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore, and one of those 9 errors was about the CO2. That is not true, that the earth actually warms up first. It takes between 800 years to 2,000 years, the earth will warm up before carbon dioxide changes. So carbon dioxide is not the cause of global warming, it is a symptom. And that is by scientists who know the weather. And this governor, Hawaii governor, goes to the United Nations and he lies. Why? Because the narrative of climate change is going to lead people toward these smart cities, toward a carbon footprint, toward 15-minute cities. And who's investing in those? The banking elite families, BlackRock and Vanguard and Charles Schwab Incorporated. They're all in on it.
Of course, yes. Yep. Yeah, it all boils down to a lot of the same stuff I've been talking to, but you put a lot more emphasis on it, and you're somebody we can all learn from. And I want you to think of the fact that you cannot bring back the children that perished in those fires, but you may have helped save the next group of children that might be.
Yeah, I hope so, because if we don't stand up, all of us. Can you imagine a world where you don't go 15 minutes outside your zone? That's, these banking elite families who are unelected people think that they have the power to control all of us because we're ignorant to what it is, what is our power. And our power is the Constitution and knowledge and knowing science, understanding the environment, understanding that fires don't just leave trees, don't just leave the forest untouched they demolish and turn houses into white ash. They're expecting people to ignore that. They're expecting people to ignore the fact that bodies are charred from the inside. They're hollow from the inside because of the water, but they expect us to turn a blind eye, but we're not. So I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me. And again, the book is called Great Maui Land Grab, and you can get it at greatmauifire.com. And what's great about it is that if you know anybody who's on the fence, they don't want to really know what's going on because they're afraid, but they're curious about what happened in Maui or curious about any of the fires, then get them this book because it opens the door to seeing, okay, what happened in Maui, and then it goes toward why. Why did it happen? What's coming for us? And they'll thank you for it, and so will this country.
Yes. Well, I thank you very much for your time, Michelle. I want to wish you best of luck. Look forward to hearing you speak tomorrow.
Mahalo, mahalo, and aloha, everyone.
All right, thank you so much.